So we got more WWE talent releases as of yesterday, and according to reports out there, it seems like these releases are going to be much more of a normal thing going forward. We're going to talk about all of the releases that just came up, how it could impact WWE 2K22, and our overall thoughts on the current state of the talent within the company. And that episode for you all is right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Assemble. Welcome back to the show. I'm Matt. Good to see you and good to have you here on the show. It's the weekend, and unfortunately, as we were watching SmackDown last night, we got the full rundown and breakthrough from Sean Ross Sapp himself, reporting that over at Fightful Select, a number of talents, specifically out of NXT, that have been released by WWE. Please make sure you're going to follow Sean Ross Sapp over on Twitter as well as Fightful Select and on Patreon, because he's always got the latest news and the latest rumblings going on within the industry. He does a fantastic job over there with his team. So first of all, let's break down the actual list of releases from WWE as of yesterday. Let's post that up on the screen right now. Now, a lot of the talent that we see here is obviously younger talent, and some of it is actually very established talent within NXT. And I think this is what comes as a surprise for so many of us that follow the product and the way in the direction that NXT had been going, where they were building stars through their brand as a third brand, bigger names, established names in the brand like Bronson Reed, Bobby Fish, Mercedes Martinez, Kona Reeves. You've got Leon Ruff in there. There are so many talented people on this list that were let go, and it's very, very unfortunate. The upside and the positive side of this could be that they have been able to establish themselves on a platform like NXT, get more exposure, be on TV, and hopefully it means that they could get scooped up by another organization and keep growing themselves and doing more and more. Now, over at the Matt Men podcast, Andrew Zarian also followed up to Sean Ross's tweet about an announcement of all of the talent that had been released, and Andrew Zarian had to say in response that there was more to come. Andrew Zarian has been very on top of all the latest news going on within WWE, and so there is some reason to hang our hat on that little comment that unfortunately there is probably going to be more releases coming down the pipe. The question I posed to all of you in the community tab, and by the way, thank you so much for checking out the show and engaging with us over there, and I posed the question of like, one, did you want to see an episode on this? And it seems like overwhelmingly yes you did, so hi, welcome to the show. Two, a lot of your feedback was that it wasn't as detrimental for some. A lot of you were surprised and shocked that talent like Bronson Reed or Bobby Fish were let go. We can't get that Undisputed Era reunion in the future. So do I think that this is a big deal for WWE and specifically NXT? Kind of. It's an interesting mix. I think that what is happening is we are seeing the end result of WWE back in 2018 hoarding talent to an alarming degree right as AEW was coming on the board and going head to head with NXT on Wednesday nights and beating NXT in the ratings consistently, and then getting NXT to move over to Tuesdays on USA Network. Now, with NXT chopping main roster talent and chopping off a huge amount of young talent, there's a lot of conversation out there right now that they're looking to rebrand and refocus NXT as more of a developmental brand again, even though it felt like it was developmental, but Triple H and his team really were putting NXT on a platform as its own third brand. And it seems like now that they're going to be going in a direction where that is no longer the case, and they are going to treat NXT as much more as pure developmental. But if you want to treat NXT as this base system to bring in young talent and develop them to get them up to main roster at some point, and like Vince can do whatever they want with their character, then why would you get rid of stars like Bronson Reed, for example, and Leon Ruff, and these stars that are getting established that are super young, like in their early 20s, that you can work with? And Bronson Reed specifically, I point him out because he was doing the matches on main event, like in the dark matches, and it seemed like he was getting ready to go over to main roster, and then they get rid of him. A lot of this doesn't make sense if you are trying to go and cut talent back, and it's a budget thing.
Hey kid, it's a budget thing. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
And you want to focus on developing younger talent. I don't quite get the thinking here. Fightful Select also had a follow-up report on this regarding WWE hoarding talent and the feeling there was backstage. It goes like this. The report noted that the unnamed WWE official Fightful spoke to claimed that people within WWE thought that there was an honest intentions behind the company's talent stashing phase in 2018. There were reportedly pitches involving collecting talent, establishing international performance centers, and filling in the facilities with native and international performers. Plans and pitches reportedly came to a halt once the pandemic became a big issue. The report also stated that the official expressed frustration following the recent cuts when asked who was responsible for the releases. The official reportedly noted that the calls were a collaborative effort, but pointed out that Vince McMahon could have personally stopped any of the cuts. This little tidbit that it pulled from Fightful Select, and it was brought up through Wrestletalk and their site, is very interesting because for a couple of years now, Triple H himself has talked about how they want to expand NXT globally, getting into China, getting into the Indian market, and broadening NXT, where we have the base US NXT, we have NXT UK, and it's kind of stopped there. And right around the time of the pandemic, obviously, everything got shut down and they haven't been able to do much. But before that, they had done this huge influx of talent that they were acquiring anybody and everybody and boosting their rosters to crazy amounts, be it on NXT or main roster. And we had heard from Triple H over the last couple of years that there's the global localization of NXT, whatever he branded it as, to really put these big giant centers, performance centers, and WWE's present much more globally. Now it seems like they probably are not going to go in that direction as they are slashing talent from top all the way down to the bottom. And with the recent reports coming out that we hear that WWE could be making a shift with NXT by giving it a new logo, branding, kind of like lighting and all of that, and reformatting the show on Tuesday nights, I wonder what the future direction is going to be and what it will look like. And let me know in the comments, what do you think NXT is going to look like maybe after the next takeover after SummerSlam? There's the reports that Adam Cole met with Vince McMahon backstage at SmackDown to discuss contract options. And it sounds like, based on the reports, that Adam Cole is getting options between Raw and SmackDown. Vince wants him on main roster, but we don't know how that's going to play out. It's really too bad that all these stars are going to be let go. When it comes to the video game itself, and as we've kind of tried to link this in with WWE 2K22, the consistency and how rapid WWE is releasing talent is not good for the game. And it's only August, and in the calendar year of WWE, they could still get a huge chunk of releases going all the way through to December of this year, and the game could be out in October, November, we don't know. They have until early 2022 to release 2K22 if they want to hit their fiscal year, which they have said through their earnings and everything from Take-Two. Do I think that they would pull a star out like Bronson Reed, for example, out of the game if he was already built and ready to go in it? Maybe not, but you might want to think that if you are 2K, that you are very frustrated with what's going on. However, a lot of you have asked, like, hey, do you think that they are going to pull people out of the game that have been recently released? I think that there is a cutoff point that they have to make. I don't think that 2K can make decisions based off of what WWE is doing themselves, like on a weekly basis, and can't really prepare for that. You have to put your best foot forward to put your product out, the video game out, on time with what you got, and there is a magic cutoff point that they have to hit. Presumably right around now is when they have to kind of lock in the roster and say, that's it. But I've said this on previous episodes, there is a potential that 2K could remove stars out of the game if they wanted to do that, but that is going to end up shrinking us down to a very, very small roster if they go down that path. And if NXT is getting a rebrand and reshuffle after SummerSlam, I'm going to be bummed out as a fan if we don't get those updated arenas and sets and branding in the game. And this is where I go back and say that I feel 2K really needs to really be deep diving into that live service element to get those regular updates based on what's happening with WWE themselves. We get brand new stages and sets for Raw and SmackDown and potentially NXT. We get stars that are getting removed from the game, stars that could be coming over into WWE in the future. And if you made it much more of a live game and they did those updates that way, then you could actually keep the game much more alive and stable. But removing stars out of a game, after it's released, I don't think that they would end up doing either, because I think fans would get pretty much in an uproar if he said Adam Cole is pulled from the game, even though he was made available before, because now he's in AEW or something. And I don't think that they could go down that path. They haven't done that in years past either. But with the game, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what that final roster is going to shape up and look like. And stay tuned for a future episode, my friends, because we are doing a WWE 2K22 versus an AEW games roster and who we think is going to have the best roster. And that's going to be another another predictions episode. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think about these releases? Do you think that they're going to be a huge impact at all to the WWE 2K22 video game? Where do you think we're going to go with NXT in the future? Is there a rebrand that's going to happen? Let me know. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. Thank you all so much for your support here on the show. I'm Matt, and as always, thank you all for assembling with us. See ya.